Hey everybody, this week's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by World Breakers. And hello, Ruel, how are you doing?
I am doing great, my friend. How are you, Richard?
I am okay. I'm a little stressed out because we got to get this thing filmed so I can catch a flight to Dice Tower West.
That's right. So, folks watching on YouTube, we are recording this on Monday instead of Tuesday this week in order to get it all edited down and ready to go on YouTube because Richard's going to be on an airplane flying in a couple of hours here, and I'll be driving tomorrow, which is Tuesday, to Dice Tower West. So, if you're at Dice Tower West, please come by, stop by, and say hello, and we'd love to chat with you and maybe play a game.
Yeah, and Ruel will be handing out buttons. Buttons aplenty.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I will have plenty of Tabletop Tonight buttons. That's my Twitch channel. My wife and I, Michelle, actually, we handcrafted them. We bought a button making machine. We got plenty to give out. So please stop by and we'll happily give you one if you ask nicely.
And it's not like I'm trying to one-up Ruel or anything, but if you swing by my wife's booth at Gamer Glass, and if you're interested in buying any of her wares, we will be offering as a gift with purchase a Rahdo Runs Everdell set of cards, which are just absolutely awesome. So you'll be able to pick those up at the convention, swing by Jen's booth, see if you like anything, because we're throwing in, we're taking a few hundred of these along as a gift with purchase. Alrighty.
All right. I was going to say, could we perhaps do a tradesies? I will trade some buttons for some of those cards.
I'll set one aside for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey, before we get going, I do want to mention one thing. We do not do this show in a vacuum, folks. We are well aware of what's going on in the world today. And as you know, there's some big events happening in the Ukraine. And without getting too deep into it, what we want to do, we just want to say that we are trying to raise some money for the people who are unfortunately out there in the Ukraine right now, dealing with some very, very, very bad stuff. And thanks to our friend Matthew Jude of Things Get Dicey, along with Paula Deming, Matthew set this up here through the charity CARE. And our goal is to raise £2,000. And as you can see there, Richard just pulled it up. We're halfway there, folks. How did we get there so quickly? This past weekend, the Tabletop Live Network, it's a collaboration between a bunch of us Twitch streamers. We do live board game streams throughout an entire 24-hour period. So Matthew, at the very last moment, said, hey, I think this is a good thing we should do. And all of us we hopped on board right away. And Richard, kindly said, you know what, this is awesome. Yeah. Let's continue and let's get you to that goal. So thank you for doing this, Richard. We really appreciate it. The Ukrainian people, folks, you know what they're going through right now, and every little bit counts.
Yeah,
so
we're
if
all
you have
in
the
this
means,
together. And
we are all
Yeah, we are a small industry, a small little podunk industry, board games. But oh my gosh, there is such a huge board game presence in the Ukraine. Mysterium was designed and developed and published by a Ukrainian developer. Most of the art in Gloomhaven was from a Ukrainian artist. What's happening reaches out and touches everybody. And if you folks have it within you, if you have the wherewithal and the means, there's going to be a link for this site down in the show notes. Let's try to get this over our limits so that we can reach out and help some of those folks who really are in dire straits at the moment.
Yeah. Thank you again for sharing that. That's
okay.
Great.
And now, to change subjects to a slightly more upbeat topic, do you have any questions for me, Ruel?
I do have a question for you. What the heck is that on your table?
I'm glad you asked. This is World Breakers, which, by the way, is sponsoring the show this week. This is a game that's actually going to be going live on Kickstarter this week, which is why it's certainly appropriate that we talk about it right now, because we're about to talk about a whole bunch of Kickstarter games. And now this is a head-to-head dueling game, and it has some passing familiarity with Magic kind of thing, but to my way of thinking, for everything I've learned about this game, this is the game that fixes Magic. I know a lot of games have talked about that over the years, but I'm really intrigued by this. You start the game, everybody has a hand of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's not called mana, but it might as well be. This is the resources you use, but this is not a game of, I have to try and use my cards to get mana. I've got the stuff. So what do I want to do? Well, hey, if it's a dueling game, how about I get my stripped necklace captain into play? That's going to cost me 4 of my starting. I'm almost broke. But you're in trouble, Ruel, coming your way. But that's it. My turn is over. It's your turn now. This is the center of this game. The idea that the structure is not about, I'm going to do some really big complex turn, and maybe you'll interrupt me and mess with me, and then you'll do some really big complex turn. This is a game that feels, while it is a dueling card game, much more like a board game. to me. You've got your 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have an immediate, everything I do, you immediately respond through, not through like game-breaking interrupts, but just because of the overall structure of the game. You see, oh, I'm going to come over and start attacking you. Not to kill you, but just every time I successfully attack you, I earn power. And we're racing to get to 10 power. So, you got to decide, are you going to let me just get a power for free? Because I don't hurt you, you're just going to let me, run rampant, or are you going to get somebody else yourself? Okay, well, hey, you've got an event, a gratuitous gift. Let's see, play a follower card, cost 3 less. This is 3. I'm going to play this event for free, or you are, and then that means you can get your emissary out. Normally it would cost 4, but it only costs 1. So you're richer than me. And now all of a sudden, you've got a defender. I'm a 3/5, you're a 2/5. And now it comes back to me. Now I don't have just a free and easy way to get power. If I attack, you can block. Now I'll do more damage to you, and another cool thing about this game is damage accumulates over time. So it's not like just, oh, the fight's over and everything starts over. And so people get wounded, you can deal with all that kind of stuff. So maybe I won't, because there are other things I can do. You make power, i.e. points, either by successfully attacking without getting blocked, or by visiting locations. And I've got a volatile furnace. Oh, I would love to get this in play, but I'm broke. This is going to cost me 5. And it also costs 1 allegiance with a guild. And I start with 1 allegiance. Another thing I can do is, well, I can do all kinds of stuff. On an action, I'm just going to do one of these things. Right now, because I don't want to attack you, because it's not going to do any good, I will do more damage to you, but you do bloodshed to me. So I just think I'm going to let sleeping dogs lie. I'm just going to start rebuilding, and hopefully we'll just stay at detente so I can get this out, so I can start earning power with this. But the thing is, if I eventually get this out into play, I can activate it 3 times. That is another thing I can do on my list. And the first action doesn't do much. The second one does more. The third one does a really big thing. But as soon as I've got that out, if you take out my defender, when you attack, not only do you start earning power, but you start hitting this and make me lose my really good stuff. But hey, maybe that's okay. Maybe I want you to hit me because I don't want to waste a turn getting this really dinky first step. I want you to hit me so I can get to the really good, strong second step. And then that's what I'll do on my turn. But it's always, I do something, you do something. I do something, you do something. And when we get to the end of the line, we have a rally phase where we check to see if somebody's won. If somebody got 10 points early on, I've still got all these other steps to get 10 points myself and try to beat you or claw it back. But then the interesting thing is, when a round is over, it flips. If you were the last player, you're the first player. And that's the most powerful moment, when you get to do 2 actions in a row in a game where there's always a counter move to your move. Getting to do every once in a while those double back-to-back actions is incredibly powerful. So this game is really sleek, easy playing. This is not a CCG. This is not a game that's going to be all about just having to chase the... What is it you chase? The dragon, trying to get more and more stuff. It comes with a fully fleshed out 4 full decks, all based on real historical characters. And the development of this game, I'm really impressed by too. This is actually set in alternative 13th century Far East. So you have Mongolian characters. You have Marco Polo as a character. One of the things I thought was coolest about it, if you are playing with Mongolian characters, the artist for these is an actual real world Mongolian artist. So the developer really worked hard on inclusivity, on, a wide variety of people, showing up with not just all the standard beefy guys in loincloths. Very, very impressive title. Fun, fast-playing game. And the thing that probably, more than anything else, impresses me about this, I don't know if you're familiar, Ruel, with the channel Gideon Gaming. Gideon's Gaming. It's a YouTube channel.
I'm not.
He's small. He's starting to grow now. I've been subscribed to him for a while because he has, for my money, the best deep strategic breakdowns of Marvel Champions. And and when I saw, and that's normally what he covers, his whole channel is about, really diving deep into all the strategies and imbalances and stuff like that. I love watching his channel. I saw him do his first ever preview because he loved this so much, and he does such a deep dive into the gameplay here. I cannot recommend it enough. If I've at all piqued your interest, follow the link down there to go check out Gideon's Gaming channel. Watch his 7-minute summary of how deep and tactically and strategically rich game is, and I think you'll be convinced, like me, it's a game to pay attention to. And that's our sponsor for the show. And guess what? You might win a copy of this game. Well, how can they win?
Wow, that sounds awesome. I'm excited about this game. The fact that it's got that really quick back and forth between players, that looks fantastic. Folks, you can win a copy of this game by just watching our show. That's all you got to do. Hang out, watch the show. Nothing more than that. But we're going to say a secret word. And one of us is going to say the secret word. And what you need to do is type in the name of the game that we're talking about when the secret word is spoken.
Yes.
And send the name of the game to contest@rahdo.com. And you will be entered to win your very own copy of World Beaters. The secret word for this week is warp.
Yep.
As in warp drive, WARP, warp. Warp.
As in,
one of us
let's
is gonna say
do
warp
the time warp again.
again.
And hopefully that's in everybody's head now. Because it's been in mine ever since warp was suggested as a secret word.
That's right.
That's just where I go.
So warp, folks, one of us is going to say it during the show. One of the games that we're going to be talking about on our top 10 list, you will type in the name of that game and send it over to contest@rahdo.com, and you'll be entered to win your very own copy. Okay,
Yes, indeed.
so that's how we do it.
Yep.
You got the secret word. You just have to pay attention to that, folks, so you know what to do.
Yeah, write that email, and you have until March 8th. So if you're watching this episode on March 9th, I'm sorry, it's too late. But you still might want to go check out Word Breakers anyway on Kickstarter because, obviously this is not necessarily my kind of game, but I just love the board gaminess of this. It's very, very intriguing. I love that this is more about me just scoring points as opposed to hurting you. And I think this is, even for me, this is being a great gift. The next time my niece and nephew come and visit and they bust out all their magic that they always want to play with Uncle Richard, no. We're playing my prototype of World Breakers if I don't have a real full version of the game at that point.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Let's see here.
So,
yes, go on.
we got that out of the way. We are getting ready for the top 10 list for this episode.
Yes, we are.
Is
It is. We're going to be running down our most anticipated upcoming crowdfunding games. Games that are going to be, for the most part, we might have missed a few, but for most, they're going to be coming out in March, maybe April. It's never 100% certain. Sometimes the best laid plans might change a little bit, but that's what we're going to be doing. However, before we get to our top 10, which I spent hours on last night, hours that I did not have because I had to be prepared to go travel to Dice Tower West, but still went through about 600 or 700 games that are on the coming soon list on Kickstarter and GameFound. I've got 5, Ruel's got 5. We've combined that into our top 10. But before we get to that, here's the deal, folks. There are about 14 games that are going to be coming in crowdfunding form over the next few weeks that are going to be on the channel. We didn't want to put those on the list because we're doing paid previews for those. So there'd be, issues of bias and whatnot. So we're going to briefly run down all the upcoming, these are all games we're really excited about because otherwise we wouldn't have decided to cover them in the first place. I'm going to list those 14, going to blitz through them really quick so you can know they're coming. Every single game we're talking about today will have a link down in the show notes. So if we strike your interest at all, find that link, follow it, and you'll be able to click a button that says, hey, let me know when this Kickstarter goes live. So I'm going to go through those, and then we'll actually get to the real 10 that we started to count down. Does that make sense? Am I missing something, Ruel?
No, I think that explained it perfectly. We are good to go.
Okay, then let's see. First of all, we are talking about top 14 crowd funders coming to RRT. Save. That should be our new banner. Yep, that's where we are. Let me bring up the browser, and I believe if I recall correctly, if I set this up right a couple of hours ago, these are in alphabetical order, starting with Assault on Doomrock, the Ultimate Edition. Now, if you don't know anything about Doomrock, you can go watch my run-through. I've actually done a few run-throughs of this over the years because I absolutely adore it. A really deep, crunchy, cooperative adventure game that mixes so many really interesting, disparate... it's got dice worker placement. It's got, tactical skirmish stuff. It's got exploration and adventure. It's got resource management. But it does it all in an incredibly tight, efficient, very Euro-y package and a hilarious package, too. This game is often laugh-out-loud funny. And so it's getting the Ultimate Edition, collecting all the stuff that's been out already, which I've covered over the years, and a really nice update and upgrade to everything. Shay did the run-through for this, and I'm actually kind of jealous. When I saw that player man, I'm like, I wish I want to play Doomrock on that. But anyway, that's going to be one of the games you'll be seeing on our channel in March. And then next up, we have got Autobahn, which is a run-through I'm going to be doing. I've already filmed it, but it won't be going live until the Kickstarter launches, I think in the middle of the month. This is a great economic Euro simulation that tracks the growth and development of the Autobahn from 1946 to 2020. And so it is deep and it's really rich and it does a lot of things very nicely. It's kind of like a card worker placement game, and every move you make is always creating opportunities for your opponents, and everything they do is creating opportunities for you. So you're always having to make really tough decisions. But actually, the most impressive thing about this game to me, Ruel, is as a die-hard pick up and deliver hater, neither Jen or I like that. This is a pick up and deliver game we actually really dig. Fabio Lapiano and Nestori Mangone, the two really hot Italian designers, have found a way to make Jen and me fall in love. So you'll be seeing that soon. A lot of picking up and delivering and building of the Autobahn.
Ooh,
then
nice.
We've got Darkest Doom, which we haven't filmed yet. I think Shay's still waiting on getting the prototype. But wow, it looks gorgeous. This is a beautiful looking game, really nice miniatures, coming soon to Kickstarter. Because Shay is covering this one and he hasn't filmed it yet, I can't really say much about it. But honestly, I trust Shay's opinion. Shay took a look at this. Our process is basically whenever a publisher contacts us and says, hey, would you be interested in doing a preview for our game? We take a look at it, read the rules, and decide, well, does that sound like fun or not? We say no 9 times out of 10, but Shay said yes to this. So you will be seeing Darkest Doom, which looks gorgeous, coming in a few weeks. Then we have got Encyclopedia. Oh, this is a fantastic game. Basically a sequel to Museum and Dominations from the same publisher's designer group. I actually filmed this several months ago, but wow, we really, really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's a very deep and interesting worker placement hero with some really fresh takes on worker placement that is all about creating the world's first encyclopedia. It actually really goes into the history and the real people who were doing this, and it's all about trying to decide how much of your dice worker placement resources are spent on studying in the field, doing academic research, and actually publishing these works. And you've got to really balance all of this stuff, and it's really sharp. My run-through should be coming in March. Okay.
That looks fantastic.
Then we've got, there's so many of them. This one is Hamlet. Look at this thing. This is the most goofy looking cattywampus tile layer you've ever saw, but I love it. This is a communal thing where we're all working together to try to build the best Hamlet. And all the tiles in this game are crazy triangles and diamonds and hexes and all of that. And at first I thought, why did they do this? But after Jen and I played it a little bit, I started to understand. Because in this game, you don't make perfectly regimented grids like Carcassonne or perfect hexes like Suburbia. You make things that feel more real and natural. It feels like as your Hamlet grows and it does all these weird circuitous routes, it's like, there must be a river there that it's running along. This feels real and it feels charming and atmospheric. So the feel is great. The gameplay is really, really sharp. But the coolest thing about it is, while there's an equal amount of focus on, activating things and doing quasi-worker placement and, deciding, what resources you're going to convert into other resources you can keep on expanding the town, to get those resources from one side of the town to the other requires donkeys. This game is all about donkeys. It's going to have cool, cute little donkey meeples. My prototype didn't, unfortunately. And as the game goes on and the city gets bigger and more circuitous and more winding because of the crazy tiles, you have to set up supply chains that you can activate from one side of the room to the other. So this is a logistical exercise as much as it is a worker placement game and a tile laying game. And Jen and I were both really blown away by it. It's from the designer of The Pursuit of Happiness, and Then We Held Hands. So I've loved those games. And Hamlet, well, you'll see why I like it when my run-through goes up in a couple of weeks. Okay.
Super excited about that one.
Great. You should be. It's great. But you know what? Awesome. So is Mercurial. This is an interesting one. This is a, what would you call it? It is a game about trying to make potions to fight monsters and save people in distress. Which, I'll be honest, is generally not the kind of subject matter I go for. I just don't find it intriguing. But this game, this card drafting game, where you're drafting different types of cards, some cards are assistants who will help you modify dice. Because the dice are the fuel that gives you the reagents you need. Oh, and look, there's Paulo making fun of me in the Klingon subtitles. What is he doing? Folks, always watch my videos with the Klingon subtitles. Paulo is hilarious. It's like a whole show of its own. But anyway, so you're drafting helpers to be able to control the dice. You're using dice to be able to get spell components. And then you're casting all these spells together to actually trigger the spells, which are the big point-giving thing. And the thing is, this game starts with trying to manipulate dice, kind of Yahtzee style, but then it goes so deep. Combos upon combos upon combos. These types of things, combos to let you manipulate this so you can combo these other kinds of things, and it was just a blast to play. Even though it's not my type of subject matter, both Jen and I were super impressed, and you'll see that run through from Mercurial coming soon. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, this is so much, and we're almost through it. We're up to the O's. Oak. Actually, Ruel, I only just got this in the mail. I'm bringing it with me to Dice Tower West. Maybe we can play it.
Can we play?
Can we? Can we? Well, it'll be in my suitcase.
I would love. Yeah, I would love to play this because this was actually on my list
of
games I wanted to cover. Yeah, so I would love to play this with you. Yes.
Okay. Well, then it's a date. It is a date. We will be there. We will play Oak, which is a gorgeous-looking game. I think there's just a few pictures of it here on GameFound, not on Kickstarter, on GameFound, but it has great production, and it is about druids trying to be in tune with nature and restorative stuff. I mean, that's subject matter I really like. I really dig that kind of thing, and it looks really deep and crunchy, and I can't wait to give it a go. And I'll be playing it with you when we meet in person for the first time ever. So that'll be fun.
Cannot wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you will destroy me at Oak. I'm sure will be step 2 of that process.
I don't know about that. We shall see.
We shall see. Okay. But anyway, Oak is coming soon. When I get back, after having played it with Ruel, I'll film a run through and tell everybody how it went. Wish me luck, everybody. Okay. Then we have got... Okay, another one that we have already filmed. Oh, Pilgrim. Boy, this is a very, very cool game. This is set in medieval, or maybe it's Renaissance era England, but we are pilgrims for the church, and it is our job to try to basically help the world. A big focus of this game is collecting resources, not for our own glory, but to literally give alms to the poor. If we build big fancy buildings that, hey, once I built this building, I can use this power, you can pay me to use the power. Eventually, though, I'm going to donate the building to the poor because, that's kind of our goal, is to help people. And the gameplay is all driven by an excellent Mancala. A really cool, fresh take on Mancala. All the spaces on the outside of the board, you pick up all your pieces, you move them around clockwise. Here, there's a few key twists, though. The biggest one is you don't have to activate the space you land on. You could activate anything around the board. So you could be doing little baby turns to set up big turns later. And then the other thing, this is a Mancala that has branching paths. You could go halfway and then cut across the Mancala to skip to the other side of the board because you really are desperately trying to get to a certain spot. So it's cool new Mancala stuff, really satisfying route building because we're trying to make pilgrimage roads to pilgrimage sites. We're also trying to open up trade routes so that we can boost the economy so that it can all come back to helping people. So, not surprisingly, this was all something that Jen and I found very, very engaging. Really cool. My run-through's coming soon. Okay. And then, Ryozen, which I don't know much about this. Ryan Crichton of Knights Around a Table is going to be doing a rules run-through for this, and I can't wait to see it. All I know is this game looks stunning, and it features, it's a Euro-style game that has a rotating central board, this cool three-dimensional palace that's huge, and as you spin it, it actually changes what you have access to. And by the way, folks, there's a link for this page I'm looking at, like a link for every single game we're going to be talking about today. And they are talking about secure your early bird, sign up to be notified when it launches now, if you're at all interested. That looks, if this is what the early bird is, that's a pretty cool looking early bird miniature you can get. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing Ryan. Ryan does the best rules run-throughs in the business as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so that'll be coming on the 16th. Let's see here, if all goes to plan. Then... we're almost done. We move on to, what is this? Blood Twisted Moon? No. It was Blood Static Moon. Where is the title? Why are you not saying the title, YouTube, of my video? Oh, there's way down there. Yeah, Static Blood Moon. This is a cool, fast-playing little filler abstract game, which is all about dice drafting. There's dozens of D10s all over the board in different colors with different numbers. You roll them all, and then players just take turns drafting them, putting them on their own dodecagram, I believe it's called. And you're trying to create straights or of a kinds or matching colors in several different ways. You're trying to create them on the vertices of all these different triangles. You're also trying to create them in strings around the triangle. So every die you take has the potential to score in 3 different ways. But you are restricted. You can't take 2 of a given color on the same turn. There's 1 space you can only take if you unlock special bonuses. Wherever the Grand Sage is, you can't grab from that. So this is a game all about timing, and it's one of the crunchiest games we have played in quite a while that you can get done from start to finish in 10 minutes. Although there are modes you can play longer if you want. Really impressive. 2-player only game, coming soon, Static Blood Moon. Okay. And then Tamashii. This is another one I'll be filming. This is a futuristic adventure game that, it's basically Terminator crossed with Blade Runner, because it's the future of Blade Runner, but AIs are taking everything and they're trying to kill everybody. So we are trying to save everybody, and because it's a cyberpunky future, half the game is traveling around, exploring, discovering things, interacting with people, saving people, fighting bosses and all that, but the other half of the game is driven by a little sliding puzzle programming minigame. And that programming minigame is driven by a bag builder a la Orleans. So you had me at bag builder, you had me at programming minigame, and you had me at cool neon infused adventure as well. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. You'll see my run through for it coming soon. And I think we're almost done. Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition expansion, which is so weird. It's coming in March. It hasn't been announced at all. I did the world's first unboxing for it a couple of weeks. I filmed it now. Right. If you actually subscribe to me on Patreon, you can watch this run through right now, because my Patreon backers get to see my videos early before they go public, and they get to see them without ads. And it is cool. It addresses my issues I had with the original Ares Expedition. It introduces an amazing co-op mode if you want to play, not just a little tossed in co-op mode that the original had, but a really deep, interesting, rich one. You can also play solo, and it increases the player count to 5 and 6, which is perfect because this is such a fast-playing game. Really awesome. The Ares Expedition expansion. That'll be coming soon at Terraforming Mars. And I think... yes, we're not done yet. Let's see. This one is called... something Ice and Snow. Through Ice and Snow. This was actually in our last top 10 most anticipated Kickstarters when I just read about it. The publisher saw us talking about it and said, hey, you want to cover it? And they actually sent me an early copy of the rulebook, and they sent me this picture. This is the only picture of the game in the world. If you go anywhere else, all you just see is zoom-ins of cards and stuff like that. This gives you an idea. This is about finding the Northwest Passage. You can see we found some of it. We haven't found others. And it is a rich, deep, heavy game with a lot of interplay between players. I haven't gotten my prototype yet, but I'm really excited. Fingers crossed it's as good as I think it's going to be. But the rules definitely convinced me it's one to watch for. Through Ice and Snow. And then, I think this is it. Tidal Blades, Rise of the Unfolders. Another one Shay is doing. This one is going to be huge. And Shay really dug it. It's set in the same universe as the original Tidal Blades, but it's a dungeon crawling adventure in this universe. So a very, very different beat, really colorful, some fresh, cool new ideas. You'll have to check it out when it goes live in March. Phew. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like I said, we had a bunch of stuff to go over, didn't we?
Busy month.
Yes. But now...
Tidal Blades 2 looks awesome. I can't wait to play that one. Tidal Blades 2, the one we just talked about. I enjoyed the first one, but I think that world that they're creating is so unique and so cool that I cannot, anything in that world I'm very interested in playing. So also I actually have Tidal Blades right over my shoulder here. The artwork is just gorgeous. But wow, what a great month. Those are some great games that we've got.
Well, I mean, those are games that I know from personal experience are great, or that I have very high hopes for. But now we're gonna flip the script and talk about a bunch of games that you and I found that we don't know anything about, but they just look really cool. So you're getting 24 games today, folks. Are you ready to go? Ruel, do you have your list at the ready?
I am ready. Yeah. Do you want to take a water break? You do. You talked about a ton of games there. Why don't you hydrate? It's important to stay hydrated. And I'm going to reveal our number 10 on the list.
Please do.
Right now is number 10 is Betwixt and Between, Forces of Nature.
Okay, you're going to have to tell me about this one.
Yeah, this one I think you'll like the description of it. It is You 1 to 4 players, and this
Mm-hmm.
can be a solo game.
Mm-hmm.
Take on the role of mystics. So you're finding your way through this strange land, exploring, trying to get the magical essence. And what you're doing is it's combining card placement with character movement, and you're trying to come up with combos to score points. And it's at its heart, it's a tile placement game, which I know you and I both love.
I love
And this
tile
one,
laying games.
yes, and this one is the Force of Nature. This is actually a standalone. I mean, an expansion, not a
Okay.
standalone, an expansion to Betwixt and Between.
Right.
So
Which is
I
what
don't
I'm
have
showing
any,
on screen, by the way, folks, because there's no pictures
yeah.
of the expansion yet. So I'm just showing Betwixt and Between pictures on screen right
Yep.
now.
Yeah. So I haven't played the original, but I think this looks really interesting. And the expansion, what it does is they give you some new exploration cards and also give each player their own mystic abilities. So we always talk about asymmetric abilities.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting that in here in the expansion, which I think is which be a fine point for us to start off. You know, you get extra artifacts and so forth. And according to the description here, you're going to have some epic turns, you know, placing tiles and collecting sets and building your patterns and stuff. So this one looks really interesting. The art looks really cool, and I'm excited to try it. That is our number 10, Betwixt and Between Forces of Nature.
Okay, it sounds good. And it's interesting you say, I mean, the stuff you say that it adds, those sound like the things like, why doesn't it have these things? So,
Yeah.
like you said, it's probably a good time to jump on board. Good call.
That's right.
Okay, well, we are going to move
let's
on to
move
my
on.
number 9 after I get another drink of water because I've got the frogs in the throats.
Yeah.
Hopefully that took care of it and everybody enjoyed the little gargling intermission. Okay. All right. Alrighty. So let me talk about my number 9, which is Age of Comics, the Golden Years.
Yes.
Which, oh yeah,
Oh, I was gonna say I know this game and I'm excited about.
Oh,
this.
really? Okay, yeah. Yeah, it is definitely one I am intrigued by. In part because I'm a lifelong comic book fan. I have been ever since I was a little kid, and you know, these days maybe I love more of the comic movies than the comic books, but I still love comic books too. So an entire game about the golden age, you know, the 20s, 30s, 40s, when you know superheroes were first coming about. But I mean, comic books about cowboys and romance and detectives and everything else was incredibly. It was so amazing the width and breadth of subjects that were available back then, as opposed to, you know, comics are like a little bit more condensed these days. And so an entire game about this, which as I understand it, focuses on trying to run the most successful, you know, upstart comic company, focusing on different genres, you know, investing in different writer artist combos, trying to pay attention to when a given writer or a given genre is really hot and get stuff out there. If somebody else starts something really popular, you can say, well, okay, I'll try to make my own popular thing, or I'll make a knockoff of your thing. I'll make Super Dude after you make Superman and see if I can leech away some of your sales. So all this stuff sounds really cool. And then on top of it, I don't think there's any pictures of it on Board Game Geek, but apparently there is a map of Manhattan, which is where, you know, all the comic book companies were, you know, a lot of them were located there. And so in addition to everything I just described, there's also kind of this area control thing where you're trying to stake out a claim on all the hottest sales points in the city as well. And I have to admit, that I'm a little bit less interested in because it sounds like, well, maybe that's area control, maybe that's going to be a bit of two punch 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em. I'm not quite sure, but I'm still definitely willing to give it a go just because the subject matter is really intriguing, and it seems like from the description that I've read, it could be something very, very cool. So that is number 9, Age of Comics, the Golden Years.
Yeah. I've seen this. I saw this a few months ago, just a little, you know, the website or whatever. And I love the subject matter of this. You know, that time when comics were basically being invented, right? Comic books were being invented
as an art form.
To see this, and to see like a game take this on, that's the beauty of Kickstarter. You could literally find almost anything on any subject matter gamified, and I think that's a great segue to our number 8 game. Speaking of different types of subjects for board games, our number 8 is Hot Diggity Dog. Just the name alone is it just grabbed me. Just like you, I just laughed out loud. I literally laughed out loud when I saw it. And you know, like, what the heck is this game? It is a game about selling hot dogs at the ballpark. I mean, how brilliant is that?
Take me out to the ball game.
You've got 9 innings at the brand new baseball stadium. You and your fellow vendors, you're trying to get those hot dogs out there. You have different sections of the park you could sell in. You could fill up to 3 hot dog orders per turn. You go back to the commissary to refill your supplies. You know, maybe you need some condiments, some more dogs or whatever. I just the fact okay, so I love baseball. I love
Yes.
go Dodgers. I'm a Dodger fan for life, and just going to the ballpark has a very special meaning to me and my family. We go there at least once a year, and even to the local minor league parks. I just love being at the ballpark. There's a certain just the atmosphere is just it's very just warm and fuzzy for me. And to play a game like this, where I can just imagine all the vendors over the years, hey, give me a hot dog or a dog and a beer, please, or whatever. I want to do that, and this game is going to let me do that. That's why Hot Dog Diggity Dog is our number 8. I mean, just for the name alone, come on.
I know. I saw it on the list, and it made me laugh out loud last night at midnight when I saw it. It made me laugh out loud. I mean, yeah. There's just you're right. You were right to point out that this is the beauty of Kickstarter. I mean, there's no way a game like that gets made in the traditional format
Right.
for board games.
Yeah, yeah.
But Kickstarter
Yeah,
can
and,
make
let me
dreams
talk a
come
little bit
true.
yeah, it totally is, and I'm geeking out over the theme, of course, but there's push your luck, there's worker placement, there's like a rondelle. I mean, come on, it's got everything that we love about board games, but in the funniest theme ever. So, Hot Diggity Dog, I can't wait to check it out.
Yep, and yeah, and you also can say, hey, can we play some Hot Diggity Dog too? So there's something to be said for that. No, that's cool. It
Yes.
looks really charming. It looks like the art's very nice. I'm sure it's a very
Yes.
passion project, and yeah, I hope it finds an audience because it deserves to.
Same
That's
here.
just so charming. Okay,
Yeah.
number 7 on the list is not particularly charming at all. It is the Paradox Initiative. And it's interesting. This is actually a sequel to a game I covered many, many years ago. Back in 2015, Ruel, I covered Paradox when it was originally on Kickstarter. And both Jen and I were super impressed by it. This is a game that is set in the far-flung future, and it turns out there's a time quake that's destroying planets left, right, and center. And we are scientists trying to do techno-babbly stuff basically to save the universe. But we do it with a really cool Bejeweled-like sliding puzzle game that's on the side, where we're swapping discs around to try to make patterns to get that. The same way in video games, it's so satisfying. Oh, I can get that line of 5, and then boom, they all explode, and everything else slides into place. And then when they slide into place, that's how you get those chips out of the big quantum supercomputer, and you can use them in kind of a worker placement kind of way to do all the different actions, which is a lot of card set collection, to be able to save these planets from the time quake. And yeah, it was really good. It's from a really quirky offbeat designer, Brian Sewer, who had a very big hit on his hands last year with Merchants of the Dark Road. This is an earlier game from him, and it is also very quirky and offbeat, but very smartly considered and well designed. And now the new version of it, if I recall correctly, is coming from Elf Creek Games, and Elf Creek Games is known for really beautiful, lavish productions. So, I mean, what you're looking at here is a prototype from 7 years ago. The final game from 7 years ago looked a lot better, but I'm sure the new version, which there aren't really any pictures of yet, will be even better. So I put this one on our list because I already know the original game was great, and as I understand it, well, Brian is now 7 years better as a designer. And so I want to see what he does. How does he improve it? How does he streamline it? How does he make it deeper at the same time that he's making it more streamlined? These are the kind of things I expect, and I want to see in our number 7, the Paradox Initiative. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited because of those two words, Elf Creek. They put phenomenal games out there, and I think they're gonna do this one right. And just looking at that video, I love seeing the old school the handheld cam.
Oh man, yep.
That's a throwback right there. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a young man's game doing handheld cam stuff. I'm too old for that bleep now.
Okay, let's move on to our number 6
Yes, what do we got
on
for
our
6?
list here of upcoming games on Kickstarter and or GameFound. Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail.
Oh,
So
okay.
this wasn't on my radar, but after doing my research last night, I looked at the title. I was like, okay, this seems interesting. But two things stuck out to me right off the bat. The artist, look at the artist, Andrew Bosley.
Oh, yes.
Right.
If I recall
Riverdale.
correctly, Andrew Bosley made my top 10 favorite game artists when I did that list a few
Yeah,
years ago.
He's mine. I just played Tapestry the other day for the first time in a year and a half, and it reminded me how much I love Andrew Bosley's art. So this is the way I'm going to explain this is, remember the game Parks that came
Sure.
out like a year or two
Yeah,
ago?
yeah.
Yeah. it's parks, but a deeper, more rich game experience. You've
Mm.
got you're still going along the little trail here. In this case, the John Muir Trail, exploring and discovering things. You're going to go through the meadows and mountains and everything, but it's going to have a little more set collection. It's got some worker placement. You're going to be taking actions, and a little more Euro-y, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the theme got me right off the bat. I was like, this. I mean, just look at it. It looks gorgeous,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Andrew
yeah,
Bowser's
yeah.
art. Yeah, I'm all. It really did remind me of Parks, but just a deeper Parks. Now I love Parks, especially with the expansion, but I feel like this is going to take it to that next level. Especially, I can't get over the art. I love Andrew Bosby so much. He's easily a top 5 artist for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail, is our number 6.
Good choice. I am embarrassed that I did not see that somehow I just completely overlooked it. What is wrong? I guess I was too tired, but I'm really glad you pointed out.
I think that for me it was the name. A Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail. I honestly thought it was like a book being kickstarted, like a coffee table book, and I'm like, oh, this is about the John Muir Trail, whatever. But then I looked at it, I was like, wait, that looks, and I dove a little deeper. It's like, oh, Andrew Bosley, a game. You had me right there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about this one. This looks fantastic.
Well, you got me excited, and I wasn't before. But yeah, you had me at Andrew Bosley, but then you
Yes.
really had me at Parks for Gamer Geeks.
Yes.
Parks is a lovely little game, but yeah, it's a total gateway. Really nice to play with families and kids and stuff like that. But yeah, a big, heavy, deep, rich version of that with one of the best artists working in the industry. Yes, please. That is an excellent number 6. But it's not as good, Ruel, as our number 5, which also features an amazing art pedigree. Number 5 on the list is Raw. Just good old-fashioned R.A.
Yes.
Reiner Knizia
Yes.
Raw. And, it's interesting. Don't worry, folks. If you've been missing it, next week we're gonna get back to our regular top 100 games of all time countdown. But in a previous episode of our top 100 games of countdown, I listed Raw as one of the best games of all time. And I will stand by that. I will fight anybody who disagrees.
And I will join you in that fight. So yes,
you'll fight beside me on that. Yes.
Yes. You have my sword.
Yep. And my weird bidding scarab or whatever it might be, trying to throw some Raw humor in there.
That's right.
So Raw is. Many would argue, and I might as well, Reiner Knizia's greatest design ever. I mean, there's a lot of really good candidates, but Raw is also one of the greatest auction board games of all time. And now it's going to become one of the prettiest games of all time because it's getting a lavish, deluxe reprint, redo from 25th Century Games and the art of Ian O'Toole. And you want to talk about hot art. Ian makes hot art. This looks gorgeous. One of the premier, greatest designs of modern board gaming, now with art from one of the greatest artists working today. This is going to be a very big deal. Because, don't get wrong, Raw has always been great. Every version of Raw has been great, but it might be kind of hard to convince people to play if you have your old Dutch version of Raw from 1997. And you're like, let's play this. I don't know. Can we play something else? People will be lining up around the block to play Raw now because it looks gorgeous. It looks as good as it's always played, which is why it makes a list at number 5, Raw.
Yeah, it's a real shame it's been out of print for so long. But 25th Century Games, they do games right, and they're gonna, they've done Kohaku, which is just a mind blowing package, and I think they're going to do Raw right as well.
Oh, I believe
with
yes.
the Ian O'Toole. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong. Yeah, I'm super pumped about this game. Is actually one of my most anticipated games of this year, even though it's been around for 20 years. I can't wait for this version, and that's why it's our number 5. But let's move on to our number 4, which also looks very pretty and very cool. Our number 4 is Far Cry Beyond.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So I actually, do you know anything about that? I have no idea what the video game's about, Far Cry. Do you play this video game?
I have played the first Far Cry back when I was still in the video game industry.
Yeah.
Before I'd actually even discovered modern board games. And board games actually cured me of my lifelong video game addiction. But Far Cry, at least the first one, and I believe the entire series, has always been one of these big open worlds that you're free to explore and do whatever you want. It's like Grand Theft Auto, but out, far away from cities. I think would be, kind of an elevator pitch for it. But
and they're think they're like in their 7th version of
Something
it now,
like that,
video
yeah.
game wise. But this will be the first video game. So we're gonna warp back in time to the 1980s, and this game is set in the 80s. And that right there, I was like, the 80s. I mean, come on, I'm
Oh
all
my
over
gosh,
it.
are you saying this
And,
is really
it's
Commando, the board game?
I hope it is, because if it is, I'm all in. Get on the
Get to the
chopper.
chopper.
Yeah. So it's a first-person shooter game, and what it reminded me a little bit of is, I don't know if you remember playing the CGE game Adrenaline.
I have never played Adrenaline, but I've only ever heard great things about it.
It's a fantastic game, and this, I feel like, takes a little bit of that, where they take the first-person shooter element and put it on a board game, and they do it more of like. This was really interesting. So there's not really much info on the game, but from what I saw, there's a video I checked out that talks about how this is almost got some legacy elements to it.
Okay.
Where you're ramping up, leveling up your characters and your dice that you're going to use to resolve stuff. You can level those up and get better dice, improve your characters, get more weapons, and as you go on, just like any first-person shooter, you're going to get better stuff as you go on, and you can see the little animals there and stuff that you're going to fight against. And
my hope is that dog is on our side.
Yeah, because that's a way looking.
That looks like a
cool
friendly
dog, right?
pooch to me, quite there. That little miniature.
Yeah.
Oh, plus it's got a character ring around it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it's again, it's set in the 80s. So right there, I'm all over it. And if just again based on my preliminary overview of this, if it's anything close to Adrenaline, I think it's gonna be a winner, because Adrenaline is such an underrated game. Like, I think people got away from it just because, first person shooter, whatever. It's actually a little more Euro-y than you think. Like, yeah. So it's Adrenaline's wonderful, but I'm hoping that Far Cry lives up to the hype as well.
So that's why it's on the list. You want Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando crossed with CGE's Adrenaline, and that's what you're looking for.
And I would be all in on that. Yes, get to the chopper. That's why it's our number. That's why it's our number 4, Far Cry Beyond.
I don't think I can argue with that nostalgia kick at all. I was totally unaware of that. I mean, I knew it was tied in, but I assumed it was probably going to be modern day hotspots, because I think that's mostly what Far Cry is. So kudos to the developers for not just for doing something surprising with it. That sounds much cooler than I first saw. I saw that and I was like, probably just going to pass. But you caught my eye. Well done.
Cool.
Alrighty, but I know number 3 has caught your eye, and this one's going to be huge. And it's going to prove to the world that we are not done with roll and writes. Roll and writes are just getting started, folks. Roll and write haters, get comfortable. They're here to stay with our number 3, Motor City.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you put this on the list.
Yes. From Ben Pitchback, Matt Riddle, also Adam Hill. But Ben and Matt did Fleet the Dice game. And more recently, they've done Three Sisters, which is another very hot roll and write. And this is going to be the next one. And unfortunately, I don't think there are any pictures of it on Board Game Geek. I think I looked it up. It's just a cover.
Right.
But let's just go on ahead and say Purple Moose Plays. I don't know your channel, Purple Moose, but show me what you got. Alrighty. And this looks like a new roll and write from Ben Pitchback and Matt Riddle. Multiple pages that aren't just a bunch of spreadsheets, but pages doing completely different things. Honestly, this looks like Kanban, the roll and write to me. It looks like there's test lines. It looks like there's assembly lines. It looks like there's some kind of dice drafting or maybe dice worker placement. I don't know much about this, but this looks very, very cool. And I love a roll and write. The only thing I love more than a roll and write is a really heavy, crunchy roll and write. Because generally, you think roll and writes, you think just nice little, Yahtzee or Yahtzee Plus type things. But I expect this is going to be deep and rich. Not going to replace Kanban on the heaviness factor, but it looks like it's got a fair bit of dice rolling and then assigning those dice to do actions and then doing all kinds of vehicle development. And Kanban, I didn't think I was going to care about that subject matter. Honestly, I don't care about cars, but I found myself really pulled into the subject matter. It was really compelling. And so I expect this one will be too. And again, the design pedigree is untouchable. Ben and Matt are fast becoming, and they've done a lot of great stuff over the years, but they are becoming the emperors of the roll and write space. This is a great 1-2-3 combo. Fleet the Dice game, Three Sisters, and if all goes to plan, Motor City, which is our number 3.
Yeah, they're a wonderful design team, and I think this falls right in line with those other games you mentioned, Fleet and Three Sisters. Gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to play this. We were just talking about Three Sisters recently. I love that game. It's a very crunchy roll and write, and Motor City is going to be along those lines as well.
Cool.
All right. Great choice for number 3, but let's check out number 2
Let's
on
do
our
that.
list. Let's check out number 2. Number 2 is Behext, an unconventional deck building game.
Okay.
You say unconventional, I say, ooh, that piqued my interest.
All right. An
This is from
unconventional deck builder
Smirk
of
and
Arcane
Dagger.
Combat. Okay,
Yeah. So you are playing as battle mages. You're specializing in a certain magical discipline, and it's deck building, right? You have your hand of spells, and your hand of spells is your defense and your currency. So you're going to be sacrificing your currency and giving up your defense at the same time. So it's one of those, okay, how am I going to balance this out, right? And the cool thing is, once you get those new spells, they don't go into your discard pile. They go right into your hand. So you can play them immediately.
Okay.
And, I like that about it. And it's interesting because one of the things I was looking at in the overview is you're not trying to build up like victory points or resources in your deck. You're trying to build up the way you want to interact with the other players, because certain spells are going to go better with other players or against other players. And I think that's so fascinating. Yeah, and I am Smirk and Dagger. Their most recent game that I played was the Night Cage, which was a really interesting take on tile laying games, where you would lay tiles, but then we talked about this last year. You lay tiles, but then as the game progresses, you're actually taking tiles off the table.
Right.
So the fact that they're starting to look at, hey, let's try something different with deck building here, I think that's worthy of checking out, and that's why it's our number 2. Behext, an unconventional deck building game.
Interesting. Yeah. Who's the designer on it? Do you know?
The designer? Oh gosh, let me.
Or is it somebody new? Kurt Covert, Greg, Jonathan. I don't know any of these names, so it looks like it's a new design team. But no, that sounds really cool.
He was part of the. He's actually Kurt Covert actually runs Smirk and Dagger, and he also designs as well.
Okay.
So he's had his hands on a couple of those titles for his company, and he's always great. He's a super nice guy as well. On top of that, but he's also designed Cutthroat Caverns and what was the other? Oh, the one I was just talking about.
Night Cage. And that's I think the most interesting thing, the way you point it, because Night Cage approaches deck or tiling in a completely new way, where you're equally tile removing, and so he wants to do the same thing. I can see why I didn't look at it too close. 3-player minimum game, but what that means, they know what they're giving up. They know how much business they're giving up if they don't put the number 2 there or the number 1. And what that means is this must be an exceptionally strong entry for what you were talking about, that interaction between players on a deep level, because you have to have at least 2 other people to interact with in different ways. So that makes it more intriguing, definitely.
Yeah. And it just caught my eye when you're like, you think about, standard deck builders, you want resources, then you want to eventually get to those victory points. But here, you're actually thinking about what cards can I use against the other players. I think that's a really interesting twist. So that's why it's our number 2, Behext, an unconventional deck building game. But we've got one final one to talk about. What is it?
Yes, we do. We've got one more to go. And I feel like I've talked about this previously at some point on the show. Maybe like it was back when we were doing Essen previews or something like that. But I have been stoked for this game for probably the better part of a year. So why don't I tell you what the name of it is? It's Frozen Frontier. And there's one reason, and one reason only. Oh, no, there's plenty of reasons. But publisher, Cosmodrome Games. Cosmodrome Games is unstoppable at this point. Everything they do, this Russian developer, this Russian group of young designers have just been putting out amazing title after title after title. And if I were to, let's see. Hold on a second. I don't want to do that. I just want to bring up Cosmodrome's pedigree for a little bit. Smartphone Inc., Aquatica, Origins First Builder, First Contact. Did you ever play First Contact? You wouldn't. Michelle would love it. Yeah. Really, they are just on fire. The Escape Tales series, those were very popular as a new take. Inuit, the Snowfolk. Wow. A lot of really good stuff. This publisher, this group of developers. And so I think this is a game from one of their newer designers in the group, I think. But I am really intrigued by it because Oh, I've heard from them. I mean, because I have covered some of their games in the past, and and I had emails with them, and they say, "Oh, this is our best game to date. This one, forget about everything we've done up till now. Forget about your furnaces and all the rest of it. Because all these rest of the guys have come together to make this really cool game. Now." It's kind of a downer. Earth is not doing so great. We've got to populate another planet very, very far away, and doing really big, heavy, meaty. Let's see, are there pictures? There must be pictures. I should show pictures. Euro-style worker placement. Dealing with the actual transport of people across the whatever the stellar distance is to get there. There's all these different planets we're working on. We're doing all these different kinds of. I mean, just looking at it. I mean, where's a picture of the board? I mean, this is a very busy board with a lot going on. And more than anything else, I am attracted to this because of the pedigree, because this promises to be their biggest, heaviest, crunchiest game to date. And they have not let me down so far. And, I like really hard science fiction. Even if it's a little bit grim, it's about the end of the world as we know it, but hey, let's make a new world. But, I cannot wait to get my hands on number 1 on the list, Frozen Frontier. Okay.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this during the Essen show. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. There were some great games we talked about today. I cannot wait for not just our top 10, but the other 14 that we talked about. Oh my gosh, a lot of good stuff coming out real soon here, friends.
Well, the question is though, folks, did you hear it? Did you do the time warp again? Did one of us say it? And if so, what game was it that we were talking about? Because you need to, as a reminder, send the name of that game as the subject of an email to contest@rahdo.com so you can win a copy of the excellent, and I'm sure it's about to start on Kickstarter. Definitely keep an eye out for it. I am very, very impressed. And again, did I mention Gideon's Gamings? Did I?
You did, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
If you like, totally as an aside, if you like Marvel Champion, go check out Gideon's channel. You must. I mean, he should have exploded by now, considering how popular, and it's like really his focus. But when I saw he broke his focus to cover this, and when he dove so deep, I was like, yeah, there's a lot more than first meets the eye. And what meets the eye here, trying to make a dueling, player versus player, game richer and more board game like, jettisoning all of the tropes of gotta get them all, collectible boosters and all of that, and just making a complete deep rich game that's full of ready to do lots of interesting drafting right from the box. Definitely keep an eye out for it, folks, because I think it's going to be something special. And that's it. Oh my gosh. Well, I have a plane to catch. So why don't you take us out, and I'll just say thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah. Okay. So, friends, again, just one final reminder: Dice Tower West. If you're watching this on tomorrow, Tuesday, we're on our way there, and we're gonna be there Wednesday through Sunday. Come say hi to us, and you may get a freebie if with purchase at Gamer Glass. You get a little Rahdo Everdell card, or if you see me and ask nicely, I'll give you a Tabletop Tonight button. And say hello. We'd love to meet you. And until then, Richard, I am looking forward to meeting you, friend.
It blows my mind. Worlds are
crazy,
colliding,
right?
Jerry. Worlds are colliding.
But have safe travels, my friend, and I will see you there.
All right. Thank you, Ruel. Thanks for watching. And thanks one more time to the show sponsor, World Breakers, coming to Kickstarter in March. Have a nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.